Located in the historic African American Heritage Corridor in Buffalo, the Colored Musicians Club has been a pillar of the community for over 80 years, but its legacy goes back over 100.
It took a while up until 1917 before this group of musicians would finally be allowed to have their own local. If you were a musician of color, you weren't allowed into the union. I mean, that was just the law of the land. But it gave them a sense of security now because they knew being in the union, they would get paid the proper wages and, they won't be cheated. Then later on, when we talk about the 30s, this building would become available. That was really when this union took off.
Lifelong musician and now curator of the Buffalo Jazz Museum, George Scott, fondly remembers how he came across the club when he was just 13.
One day I heard the saxophone and I kind of fell in love with that. When I was getting reeds, I asked the gentleman who was on the store, could he refer me to a saxophone instructor? He said, well, this guy here, he'll help you. Introduced himself, I'm Mr. Graff Young, and I'm a musician from the Colored Musicians Club. And then I was sitting in the middle of it like, wow, I can't believe I'm sitting here with all these guys. They took me under their wing and taught me how to be a jazz musician and really give back to the community as well. What this club really symbolized was they were community-minded musicians. So we wanted to form this museum. So first of all, we tell their stories. And at the same time, we want to instill, hey, you can be a part of something special.
And it's that special something that George loves sharing with others, passing on the music and history of the club to the many students that visit the Jazz Museum.
For some of them, it hits home. It says, oh, wow, that's interesting. I kind of dealt with that, or I've seen a family member go through that. And the fact that they see these people dealt with that and then they overcame it, and look where it took them. But the other thing too is just seeing that was a great part of the history and what they're dealing with back then while they were trying to create this music. I mean, it's almost similar to what things are happening today. I mean, you're talking about, racism raising its head up again, and, a lot of stuff that happened back in the 50s. And, to let them know that, these guys were activists. These guys were leaders. And they fought, they took chances just to get the word out.
For George and the members of the club, the music, legacy, and continued service to the community is the perfect harmony, and something he always says is more than just jazz.